Let's take a deeper look into the data population by reviewing the field specifications and requirements through a demonstration. And so we've just pulled up the test version of CalPads. None of the data that you will be seeing is authentic. It's all been proxy data used for demonstration purposes. So we're just waiting on CalPads here. And so we are at the CalPads home screen now. And to navigate to course data, we'd use the left navigation and simply select course data under online maintenance. So we have now landed on the course data screen, and you can see that we have several filters at the top of the screen. It defaults to the current academic year, and then you have submission type. And remember, course enrollment is the course data for Fall 2. Course completion will be the course data for end of year 1, right? So we'll go to course enrollment. Our LEA defaults here is pre-populated, and we have no results. Now, if we've previously submitted data for the current submission during the current academic year, so if we were doing Fall 2, that would be course enrollment in the 1920 year, we would simply click Apply Filters, and what appears to have no results, you will see then uh, several results. And what I expect to see, since we haven't filtered for course or school of course delivery, all the courses for the 1920 year that are course enrollment records will appear down here. And so that is what we have, right? You can see CSIS Berkeley Training High, and then you can see Emerson Elementary. And of course, the entire proxy district isn't available. We just use 2 schools to demonstrate secondary and elementary school courses. And so also to demonstrate the filtering, this is standard throughout CalPads. If you're doing course data, you should be familiar with filters by now, but we're just going to narrow our selection down to Emerson Elementary. And you can see here that only the results for Emerson Elementary have returned. And then the greater specification allows you to look for specific terms, specific course by course section ID, the courses taught by a single teacher using the seed, and then the local staff ID. So on the bottom half is the actual course data. And so we have a preview. Certainly these are not all the elements in a course, but these are the elements that let you identify a course that you want to examine. And so if you wanted to edit one of these courses, you would click Edit Course Section. And once you do that, you can edit the course information at the top or the course section information, right? And so the course information is common information shared throughout a course. Typically, all courses with the same state course code would have shared information, right? Those would be your standard courses. Algebra 1 class taught at a high school would have the same standards throughout, regardless of the teacher teaching the course or the instruction type. The course section information allows you to specify that particular section, right? So you might have the same Algebra 1 class taught in first period through standard instruction, and you may also have an independent study or online course, not an independent study, but more of an online course section. Either one would be fine, right? But that allows you to distinguish between the different sections. Or if you have 5 periods of Algebra 1 taught by 2 or 3 different teachers, again, all those teachers are teaching to the same standards. They'd have the same course code. Perhaps one provides EL instruction, another doesn't. Again, one could be independent study and distance learning or not. And so the variation in this different course sections would be in the course section information. And so if we've established our first course, say we have a music course, and we're going to add another section, we have an Add a Section button. And you can see the difference between Edit Course Section and Add a Section is that the course section information is pre-populated. Again, this is common information shared throughout the course, and the specification for each section is down here, and nothing has been pre-populated. And so if we were going to have multiple sections, you would see each section listed individually. You would not see a single line and then you would filter or sort through the sections. Each section is listed individually here. And then if we wanted to add a new course, we simply click the Add New Course button. So here we have a course with no data in it, right? All the information related to the course needs to be populated. And so the purpose of this demonstration is to be able to go field by field and talk about the specifications and the requirements. There is a benefit in being familiar with the CalPADS UI, and so that if you have to make changes quickly to a single course section, you can do that. You have the experience to know where it is and to be able to map the field. When you're making your submissions, right, because typically these courses are constructed through the master schedule, you're just going to be importing data from your student information system into CalPADS. But when you're troubleshooting, you're trying to identify a discrepancy, perhaps it's a code or whatnot that doesn't correspond in combination with another field, you can look in CalPADS, identify the discrepancy if need be, then go back and make those changes knowing what field maps from CalPADS to your student information system, and then importing a new file. Again, just to reiterate, the purpose of this demonstration is to give you a little bit of familiarity with the CalPADS UI, but more importantly, we want you to understand what's required of CalPADS, and we can go field by field and explaining each one. It's your responsibility to be able to understand the code mapping and the field mapping between CalPADS and the student information system. So looking at the course information, the fields and the data that is shared among many sections, we see the academic year, the submission type, the reporting LEA, and the school of course delivery. These fields are used in combination with each other to identify where the course is taught or to distinguish a course record from another course record. Again, there can be many course sections with the same course information. So the first field we must populate would be the school of course delivery. And for this course, we'll choose Emerson Elementary. Then we have to select a CRS state course code. Now this is an elementary school, right? And the typical elementary school course is a multiple subject course. In CalPADS, that's a self-contained course, 1000. However, you're not limited to only self-contained courses. There are other course codes you can use for elementary school. In fact, you can use any if it accurately describes the subject matter. So if the school had a computer literacy program, that would be a course section that you could see taught at an elementary school. Perhaps you have a visual art course. You know, some schools have intermediate level courses, the 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and do a more middle school departmentalized environment. Your English language of instruction, your PEs, your musics, they all can be described using state course codes that are departmentalized. And so any state course code that's not 1000 is a departmentalized course, okay? Now, something I wanted to point out, since we're looking at state course codes, is at the secondary level, middle school and high school, You may have CTE programs or CTE instruction, and those would be the 7,000 to 8,000 series of courses. These are all CTE. Then you have a course that are described as other, right? So you have homeroom skills or study skills. In middle school, you might have teacher or student assistant. AVID is a common course taught at the secondary level. So you have these other codes here in the 6,000 series. And then everything in the 9,000 series, again, is a departmentalized course. And this is your typical academic non-core or core instruction. Okay, you have your AP course code, your IB course codes in here, your various different subjects like math, science, they're all going to be in the 9,000 series, okay? And so those are the valid course codes along with, again, self-contained 1,000. For historical purposes, in the CalPADS UI, there are retired course codes still in the drop-down list. Everything in the 2000 series and the 3000 series, the 4000 series, and the 5000 series have been retired, right? And so although you may see them in the UI, they are not valid course codes. And anytime you find yourself assigning a course number to specific content, you want to reference several documents. First and foremost, it would be the valid code combinations document and then the course group master combos. And this is a tabbed Excel document, and I can show you later. If you slide all the way to the right, you will see the effective dates of that specific code. And you will see that all of these codes in the 2000 series were last effective June 30th, 2019. So that was the end of the 18-19 school year. So we'll just use 1,000. And then we have a local course ID. The local course ID, or the CRS local course ID, is a unique identifier that comes from your student information system. This field is very important because it's what is used to tie all of the fields with the CRS together. Typically, the state course code, the name, the UC approved indicator, the post-secondary articulated course indicator, the CRS departmentalized course standards grade level, and the CRS content standards alignment code all correspond. Any one of these fields cannot be changed for a specific section without changing all the others if the CRS local course ID is shared. So that's something you want to keep in mind. And for the basis of this demonstration, I'm going to pick a random number. Again, this would come from your student information system. Now, the course name, again, is going to come from your student information system. It's the common name of your course. So this can be a kindergarten course. I'm just going to use kinder. The CRS UC CSU approved indicator for elementary school is not going to be applicable, right? So I'm going to put no. If it's an indicator, it has to be answered. It can't be left blank. It has to be answered, all right? And you can see that it's a required field because it has an asterisk, but all indicators have to be populated, yes or no. And so this is an elementary level course. It's not going to be approved by UC and CSU standards. It's not going to meet any of the A through G requirements, so no. The CRSE CTE post-secondary articulated course indicator. if you're using a CTE course, again, that's in the 7,000 or 8,000 series, and it's part of a pathway that extends into college. Sometimes high schools and local community colleges have an agreement, and the high school curriculum is articulated to the college level curriculum, right? It'd be yes or no. That's nothing we need to think about, though. That's just, that should already be information you have. Your CTE staff and your curriculum staff should have already put this in your student information system, okay? This is not something we need to think about. So if you're thinking about it, is my CTE program articulated to our colleges? More than likely it's going to be no. And that's definitely not something you want to answer on the fly on your own in most instances. And then now you have your departmentalized course standards grade level range. And this is where you have to tell us this course code is being taught at what grade level. So you have your elementary K through 4. You have your middle grades grade level standards, right? So that's 5th through 8th. Then you have your secondary grade level standards. That's 9 through 12. And then sometimes it's not applicable, okay? So this course is being taught at the elementary grade level standards. And then your CRS content standards alignment code. And it's a question asking, is your curriculum aligned to the current content standards, previous content standards, or is it not aligned? Now, one nuance is if you have a course that's not aligned to standards, there's a validation that's going to require these two to go together. If you're not aligned to standards or it's not applicable, then in the content standards alignment code, the departmentalized course standards grade level range code has to be not applicable. And so I've established my course information, and even though I might use the same information for several course sections, I'm not in a position to validate and save. I have to finish populating the first section that's going to be tied to this course information. So I can go to the course section information, the bottom half of the modal, and we have a course section ID. The course section ID is a unique identifier for a specific section, and it identifies the content of the course. So again, I'm just going to put KN. Right, and this would come from your student information system. For the sake of this demonstration, I just put kindergarten Emerson for Emerson Elementary 002, just in case I have another kindergarten class, and that would probably have a convention of 01 being the first one. For this, I put 02. Not significant, right? What's significant is this comes from your student information system. It's specific to the content of the course, and most often it's unique to a specific section. There's instances where you may have more than one course section record with the same course section ID. Let's say it's full year because it's elementary school course. The class ID. So the class ID is another identifier that should be unique. The class ID represents a specific class or group of students at a particular location during the given year, term, or grading period. And so you may have a third, fourth grade class with two different course sections because the content for the fourth graders may differ from the third graders. They're in the same class. They're in the same group, the same body of students with one teacher. The class ID would represent that body of students and that teacher, but the content would be different for the two. And so that's one way you could differentiate the content. The class ID, and so you can see I'm not that creative. Pretty much just changed my one code a couple times. And so the seed, every course must be taught by a seed, right? And so your teachers should have staff demographic records, staff assignment records submitted prior to submitting any course information. You would pull from those seeds that have those demographic information and the staff assignment information, your teachers, right? These are teachers that are assigned to your courses. If you have a teacher that does not have a seed and the course must be reported, we have to account for the curriculum that the students are receiving, or the teacher's a new teacher doesn't have a seed assigned yet. Whatever the case may be for the teacher not having a seed, you can always use the generic seed of 10 nines. Now, if you have a valid seed, you populate the seed. When you validate, the staff name and the local staff ID will come from the demographics and the staff assignment, okay? So CalPATH will pull this based on the seed. So we have two more indicators here, and again, they're indicators that have to be populated. The independent study indicator is an indication of if the students are working independently, if they're receiving their instruction independently. And so sometimes this can be also a distance learning course. And so distance learning indicates instructional method where the student and the instruction are in different locations. And so there's going to be, it could be internet-based, like online learning. It could be web conferencing. It could be videos. It could be some kind of different telecommunication service connecting the student and the instructor. And so it could be yes for both. It could be yes and no, some kind of combination, or it can just be no. Either way, both the independent study indicator and the distance learning indicator have to be populated for every course section. Now, the education service code is very important. This is an indication of the services that this teacher is providing the students in the course. And although this is based on the credentials and authorizations the teacher has, it should represent actual instruction being provided. So there's not a, and that is to say, just because your teacher is authorized to provide EL services, the course curriculum may not be designed or may not provide that type of instruction. So again, you want to talk to your credentialing department. You want to make sure that the authorizations for your teachers and the course is designed to provide your EL students their specific type of instruction. But that is not something that you want to be figuring out. And then we have the course instructional level code. And so this is to identify courses that are not a standard instructional level. So you have all these different options: honors, your GATE classes are here. You have advanced classes that are neither honors or AP, they would be used here. You have exploratory classes, accelerated classes, bridge classes. So you have your different instructional levels here. Your language of instruction should be used when the curriculum or the course instruction is taught in a non-English primary language. And so if you have a school that has some kind of charter where a specific ethnic group is going to be provided instruction throughout every class, we have several students that may be Vietnamese in our community, and there's going to be courses taught in Vietnamese as well as English. You would populate language of instruction. Of course, you have to indicate that primary language of instruction is used in that course. So anytime you have Education Service Code 1, it is expected that the language of instruction should be populated as well. All right, it's just now, one thing about the language of instruction is that if primary language of instruction is not used, right, but not primary language of instruction, nothing should be populated. Also, primary language of instruction can never be English. That's a no-no. Could never be English. Primary language of instruction does not apply for foreign language courses, right? This is to help EL students learn English. And so primary language of instruction does not pertain to English-speaking students learning other languages. So here we have the instructional strategy code. And the instructional strategy is just the method used to deliver curriculum and instruction, right? And the only valid codes are home hospital 300 and special ed. Again, historical codes that expired or became invalid on 6/30/2019 used to refer to English language instruction strategies. 400 and 650, they're no longer valid. It's going to be 300 and 700. And I would think that in the 1920 year, this might stump a couple of people. If your master schedules were built in the summer before the LIT program was introduced, your courses may have this populated and you might get GER 007 errors. The thing you want to do is remove this from your course on your student information system and then resubmit your course records. Home hospital and special education instructional strategies are valid. One thing you want to note is the only way to indicate that a student is receiving home hospital instruction or special education instruction is by using an instructional strategy. And if it's both, if you have a special education student who unfortunately was injured and had to receive home hospital instruction, you can only choose one. And the hierarchy would be special education supersedes home hospital. Now, your multiple teacher code identifies when more than one teacher is providing instruction for the course. And if it's a team teaching model or a job sharing model, you would indicate that. Now, with multiple teacher codes, you would have to have two courses sharing the same class ID and the same term, but unique records for each teacher. So you may have John Smith and Susanna Haynes teaching one course. They're both going to have the same job sharing code. They're going to have individual sections with the same academic year and class ID, The course section isn't strictly required because, again, they could be teaching different curriculum to the teacher to the students. One teacher could be teaching history and English language. The other could be doing the math and sciences, right? Um, but the important thing is, with either team teaching or job sharing scenarios, that you have two course section records for each teacher that have the same class ID and academic term code, as well as multiple teacher code. The education program funding source code identifies California Partnership Academy courses. That's its sole purpose. The CTE course section provider code identifies how your CTE course is funded, either through the district or an ROP, ROC program. The course contents area subcategory code. There are 20 to 23, just a small number, I'm not exactly sure, state course codes that have sub-content categories. And so referring to the valid code combinations document will help you identify which state course codes require sub-content categories. If you were populating data using the UI, you can kind of see by the name which course types require a sub-content category. You see all these different languages, so you would know that a foreign language would require a different sub-content category. That would be an indication or a hint. Again, media arts, you have your different types of music, and then you have visual art as well. And so there's one that I'm fairly familiar with we'll look at here. So visual art is a state course code that requires greater specification, and that is done by populating the course content area subcategory code. And so if I were to use the state course code 9000 to describe an art class, I would have to specify exactly what type of art. Is it photography, sculpture, design, craft, ceramics? What type of visual art is it, okay? So that's an example of how and when you would use the sub-content category code. And again, there's only 23, 22, somewhere in there, just 20 or so courses that require that. This is not a field that you would expect to be populated quite frequently, right? It's not a required field. There's no asterisks there. The charter non-core, non-college prep course indicator is typical of courses that are not required for graduation. These are non-core, non-college prep courses. The APIB course code cross-reference helps us populate the data required for courses that are both AP and IB. You'd use the valid code combinations document and map your state course code with the APIB course code cross-reference. The APIB course code cross-reference. This will allow us to indicate, again, AP courses or IB courses that are both. The online course instruction type code must be populated if the distance learning indicator is populated. It could be instructor-led, facilitated, or learner-led. The online course instruction type code should remain blank unless the distance learning indicator has also been populated. You are identifying if the online course instruction is instructor-led, facilitated, or learner-led. The middle school core course indicator is used to identify grades 5 through 8 as being instructed at a middle years level. If they're not considered at a middle school core course setting, the indicator would be no. If they are, the indicator would be yes. It is required for departmentalized courses, grade levels 5 through 8. So this indicator has to be populated if your departmentalized course standards grade level range is 5 through 8. If you select that 5 through 8, you have to tell us, are they middle school core courses with either a yes or no. The high quality CTE course indicator. Your CTE IG courses are your high quality CTE courses. We like to describe these courses as courses that are part of a recognized state CTE pathway and that they are taught by a staff member that is CTE credentialed. Those are your high quality CTE courses. Although your CTE courses are reported or end of year 1, if students are enrolled in those courses for fall 2, you must report them in the CRSE record as well. And all the descriptive elements of a CTE course must be populated. So if I were to have a state course code in the 7,000 to 8,000 series, those are the CTE courses, I would have to populate the CTE post-secondary articulated course indicator, the CTE provider code, and then whether or not it was a high quality CTE course. And the last one we have is a local assignment option code. This is a coded value representing the local assignment option approved by the local governing board to authorize a teacher who teaches a course without the appropriate credential or authorization. And so you have all your different local assignment options based on ed code. So let's validate this and see if we have populated all the required fields for a course. And no, we get an error. So this is a great time for error demonstration. High quality CTE indicator not valid for this course section. So let's pick not applicable and validate again. And this time we were successful, which is great. And we're going to post the record. And so one of the nuances when you're looking to see where your courses are is you have to know how to use these sort and filters, right? And the reason why is we just built the course, we populated the data in CalPads, and it posted. You can see it here. However, it's down at the bottom. Our natural inclination may be to look at a recently submitted or posted course at the top. That's not the way it works. And so that is how you populate a new course. Let's take a moment so that we can demonstrate how to edit a course section. So using the online maintenance user interface, we click the Edit Course Section button on the course data screen. The Edit Course Section button allows us to update any field in the course information or the course section information for a particular course. Here we have the generic seed of 10 nines or 9999. This seed was populated because at the time our staff member teaching did not have a seed. Fortunately, the new staff member has a seed, and so we'll just update our records. We've updated the field. We're just going to click validate. You can see that the seed has been validated. Pumpkin pie was pulled from the staff demographic and staff assignment information once we populated the seed, and we can post this record. And here we can see the change reflected in the course. Remember that if you are posting records online and you want to update a single course record through a batch file submission, you must do so with care because all records at the same school, the same term, are going to be updated because it's a full replacement file type. So that's the instance if you have submitted all your records for a course and you find that you have a staff member who gets a seed or you become aware of their seed number and you need to correct that record. That's an example of why you would use the CalPAS user interface. Now, we are going to demonstrate how to add a course section using the CalPAS user interface from the course data screen. So let's select a course that we want to add a course section to. We'll choose the 6th grade course, and we will select Add a Course Section. And we do not want to edit any of the course information, right? We just want to add a section using the same course information. So this is going to be another 6th grade course. So we need a course section ID. And of course, this will come from your student information system. All right, now we'll select the class ID after we've added the academic term code. And now we'll add our staff member. And for variation, let's say that this course is an independent study distance learning course, and we will populate education service code providing the EL services. And let's try to validate this record. So unfortunately, we have an error. The error number is CRSE 0457, missing online course instruction type code. And the reason why we have to populate or indicate the online course instruction type code is because we've identified this course as a distance learning course. This is a conditional validation of the course record. And so we'll say that it's instructor led and then try to validate. Now we have been successful. We can add this section to the course information. So now you can see that we have two sixth grade course sections. They would have this, they'd be part of the same course. They're just different sections. They have different teachers, meaning that they're taught with the same standards, right? The sixth grade level courses are equivalent, but they're going to be unique because of the course section information. That is how you would add a course section record.